seen them more than I have. Stones. Oh, it's Mick. We're going to take care of business this morning, right?
Taking care of business.
Going to take care of business. Welcome. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. I'm Theresa, and I'm dang happy to see each one of you. It's really good to be here this morning. I hope you feel the same way. So I told you who I am. I'm going to tell you who you are. You're a divine expression of the one creative power and presence in the universe. That one that brings everything here. Ha. Wow. Pretty special folks, aren't you? Wow. I'm in awe. I bow before you. Wow. Look who's here in the audience. At home, too. Same thing goes. And you know what? You have gifts. Each one of you. You have some amazing, unique talents, gifts. And guess what? The world needs them. The world needs them. The world needs you to shine that unique thing that you are, that's different from me, that's different from Bobby, that's different from the person sitting next to you. We all have these unique gifts. So we're going to take care of business this morning to help you get a little courage to let them out and not worry when things don't go exactly the way you had planned, because they don't always go exactly the way you had planned. So the first step is self-discovery, right? And that's where we started this month. On our first Sunday of the month, we had a meditative process of who am I? What am I here for? What's in me? What's my dreams? What are my desires? What do I have to unleash into the world? Yeah, we're doing that same work in the class, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, that I'm teaching right now. We're discovering, doing that deep work of listening within. And this afternoon, we get a chance to see what our passions are. With Elaine Silver's going to host a workshop for us this afternoon. So we can bring our full selves to this thing called life, or to any task that we're doing. You know, we're talking this whole month about work as how spirit shows up as energy in, as, and through us, and how we get out of the way and allow that precious spirit to move through us, right? That's how we're taking the lens on what work is. So I don't mean your 9 to 5. I mean your 9 to 5 and the 24/7. The rest of the time, all the time. All the time. How you show up no matter what you are doing. That's your work in the world. That's your work in the world. From the Gospel of Thomas. I love this. You rarely hear me quote scripture, but this one is a favorite. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you bring forth what is within you, what is within you will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what is within you will destroy you. Harsh words. But we are here to live life. We are here to live an authentic life. We are here to express life, to be that channel, that portal for spirit in life. Yeah, not to squish it down. We're going to talk about that a little bit. So the second and the third Sundays, then, we looked at what a life of meaning is, and we looked at living the dream, what that looks like, living the dream. And so I remember I said Parker Palmer asked the question, is the life I'm living the same life that wants to live in me? Is the life I'm living the same life that wants to live in me? There's an urge, there's an energy, right? Ernest Holmes' quote, there's an inner urge in our minds to grow, to expand, to break down the barriers of previous limitations and to ever widen our experience. This persistent urge, he said, is the divine influence, an irresistible force, and constitutes the greatest impulse in human experience. We need you. We need you to widen that experience, not just for you, but for all of us. And we're not going to let our setbacks hold us back. No. Let's take that into prayer. Because what I know is when we consciously, intentionally take a moment, take a breath, and recognize the power of our words, recognize the power of our beliefs, the power of our emotion to create, we can be a channel for good in our lives and in the world. Because here's the reality. We are always creating, whether we're aware of it or not. And so right here, right now, let us be conscious and intentional to let go of all those silly things that get in the way of us recognizing our good, our worth, our godliness. That this is a spiritual universe and we are spiritual beings here to express life freely, fully now. So on behalf of myself and each one of us, everyone at home, I affirm at least the willingness to let go of the stuff that holds us down once and for all. Because there's an urge, a surge, an inner excitement, an enthusiasm that wants to live in, as, and through all life. That is what I claim here now for each and every one of us, and so it is. So be it. So it is. Amen. Yeah. So I'm excited this morning because we have Elaine back with us. Elaine goes off and tours during the summer and leaves us alone. But I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the fact that she's here now with us. Yay! So have at it, Elaine.
Well, let me be the first today to wish you a happy autumn, because we just had the fall equinox on Thursday. So I'm going to do a song that I wrote on the fall equinox a number of years ago, but actually change your thinking, change your life. That's the name of your course, right? So this is about thinking. Change your thinking, change your life, because thoughts become things. And thoughts are things, but they become things in the manifested world. And can you imagine if you have conscious awareness about what you're thinking? So it's called Thoughts Become Things, and really it's just one affirmation after another. Summer into fall, winter into spring, listen to the call that thoughts become things, thoughts become things, I let my wishes ring, I'm awakening, the pendulum swings to thoughts becoming things, the blessings they can bring, aware that I'm aware, my thinking is a prayer, my thinking is a prayer, my thinking is a prayer. Thoughts become things. My wishes sing. Thoughts become things, and I'm affirming now. God's declaring how each and every hour I tap into the power of universal law. It brings a state of awe. The magic of the mind is out of space and time, out of space and time, out of space and time. I'm opening. I'm awakening. Thoughts become things, the pleasures they can bring, the treasures of a king. I am one with everything. I am one with everything. I am one with everything, and so are you. Thoughts become things, the pleasures they can bring, the treasures of the king. We are one with everything. I am one with everything. I am one with everything. I am one with everything. Summer into fall, winter into spring. Listen to the call that thoughts become things. 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 Choose good ones.
Good morning, everyone. I am Camille Chapman, and I'm reading from a book full of lovely wisdom from Ram Dass, Still Here, Embracing Aging, Changing, and Dying. And I have, in this Western world, what is considered to be the right kind of body. I'm tall and thin and all that, but I have some chronic conditions that make it very difficult, and this aging thing has been no fun. So I've really liked this book. So there's lots of little gems. I had a really hard time figuring out what to read from it, but I'm going to read the story he tells about going to India to meet with his guru. Traveling by train in India is full of rich lessons. The trains go slowly, express or not, and we moved at a prehistoric pace, the countryside creeping by palm tree, until I wanted to open the window and scream. But then something began to shift. Rather than resist the slowness and count the minutes, I told myself a little story. This trip is going to go on forever, I said inwardly. This present moment will never end. I've been on this train my entire life and will never ever get off. Now what? Meditating on this story, I began to surrender into the rhythms and speed of the train, looking out the window at the passing images without the anger of the moments before. My attention fixed upon a young woman in a field. She was wearing a colorful sari and walking along the path by herself in one of those middle of nowhere places. A large clay jug balanced on her head, her undulating gait allowing her head to remain as still as she moved. She was close enough to me to see her eyes, which were underlined with black coal. She wore a pink hibiscus flower behind her ear and silver bracelets on both wrists. To my eyes, she was like a Gauguin figure, caught in an action that would never end. Her past and future filled in my imagination. As my train moved slowly, purposely forward, covering the passengers with coal dust, the woman moved more slowly, still along a path that extended in both directions, out of sight, seemingly without end. Although she was only in view for a half a minute, her existence seemed to penetrate me, forming a profound impression. Attracted to me the part that yearned to slow down, move to the rhythms of the earth and sky, the seasonal cycles of planting and harvest, the coming and going of generations, repelled in the part of me raised in the West, accustomed to material life and great stimulation. In that moment, I saw these two aspects in stark relief and wondered which parts are me. At the Mathura train station, I found myself accosted by rickshaw wallahs offering to take me to the final 6 miles of my journey in their bicycle carriages. If I'd wanted to move quickly, I could choose a motorcycle wallah, or for 5 times the price, a taxi that could whisk me to the Maharaji in a matter of minutes. Oddly, though, I chose none of these. I long to remain in the rhythm I've glimpsed at that woman walked across the field in order to meet my guru. I settled in the back floor of a horse-drawn Tonga for the hour-long trip to the ashram. I arrived with an offering of flowers and fruit and found myself standing in front of the Maharaji. I placed my offerings before him, bowing and smiling, and finally sat on the ground among the others who had come from the master's blessing. But nothing seemed to be happening. My mind began to charge this way and that, driven by impatience after traveling all that way, and soon it was spinning out of control. I attempted to listen to what was being said, but the teaching seemed trivial to my judging mind. This led to a feeling of mild despair. I sat with this darkness for a while, then opened my eyes and looked at the Maharaji. All of a sudden, time seemed to stop. Something about his presence quieted me and brought the moment into focus. He seemed to fill time. The dimension of then and now, of coming and going, no longer seemed to apply. In the field of my guru's consciousness, time was no longer a template for measuring experience. The moment was suddenly enough, a word my Western mind could hardly grasp. And there was nothing to look for, to expect or desire, nothing to consume or attain. With time paused and thinking slowed down, the veil between me and the moment fell, bringing a kind of awareness where past and future melted into now, and there was no boundary. I was no longer Ram Dass, aka Richard Alpert, jet-set American who just traveled halfway across the world to sit in this place. I was a soul, as he was a soul. I was brought a cup of chai, strong, sweet milk tea in a small, crudely made cup. Later, according to custom, I threw the cup against the wall and watched it shatter into the ground. Once the Maharaji said, "Why are you so prideful? We are all made of clay." Looking at the shards of the cup in that heightened, timeless moment, I could almost see my body shattered, already dead, returning to the earth. That thought brought enormous gratitude for the moment of light and breath I was living. How sweet, how rare to be given a body in which to move about this world. What grace to be alive and know the day in all its sweetness. Falling out of time this way, coming to the eternal now, I felt a surge for sacred love for everything around me. Such moments of ecstatic awareness are not far off and do not require voyages around the world. For the presence of enlightened masters, they are at our fingertips all the time. If we only stop and pay attention to the miracle that dances around us, being time-bound, we're mostly blinded what is unfolding every moment. We measure and shrink and define these wonders. But when we stop counting and open our eyes, a new sort of life awaits us. Though our bodies have aged, the moment is new, and we learn to move in eternal rhythms through the temporal world. And this, to me, is the answer, right? I've never liked the term fighting or fighting cancer, right? Life doesn't have to be pushed and fought with. To me, it's the grace of just allowing and being, and that to me has freed me of all kinds of anxieties. I haven't had to fight against anything. So this moment of just living, I think, is the grace. So thank you.
That sounds like some of the things we're going to talk about in the passion test later today. And Theresa texted me, I guess, a couple of weeks ago because I always want to know what is the talk about so I can present music that goes with it. And she said, it's called Falling Forward. What does that mean to you? I'm thinking, well, we will just have come into the fall, to the autumn, and to fall forward, like to go with the flow, is to do that, to let go and just allow what is and go with it. And I don't know, can you guys hear this? Can you hear the guitar? So let me see what I have here. I wrote this in the pool and finished it yesterday. Once I read the Theresa's newsletter that came out on Thursday, I reread it and got the last verse. It's called Falling Forward. I'm falling forward into the center, falling forward as I enter the heart of spirit, the mind of source, falling forward as the sacred force. I'm falling forward into the autumn, falling forward, my momentum, it guides me and informs my soul. When I fall forward, I'm complete and whole. Falling forward, falling forward, falling forward as I speak my word. Falling forward, falling forward, falling forward, I declare my word. So this is when I read your newsletter. Failure is a part of our progress and necessary for our success. Failure is a part of living, remembering to just say yes. Come on with me. Falling forward, falling forward, falling forward as I speak my word. Falling forward, falling forward, falling forward, I declare my word. I'm falling forward into the center, falling forward as I enter the heart of spirit, the mind of source, falling forward as a sacred force. I'm falling forward into the center. I'm falling forward into the center. I'm falling forward into this. One more. I'm falling forward into the center, remembering to just say yes. And so it is. But I wrote 4 haikus. Can I do my haikus?
Yes, you
Oh,
can.
they're quick.
I gotta
Open
tell
to
you.
life's flow, receiving as I listen, falling forward now. Fall is in the air as I take the sacred breath and move into more. We always get more when we come here. I'm living my dreams, for my work is my whole life, joyous and thankful. Failure is a part of all the success we are. All is really well.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
She inspires me.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that. Thank you. I love how you do that. You just pew, 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 pew. I know it is. And thank you for your reading. That was great, great reminder. I love all the works of Ram Dass, so thank you for sharing that. It's pretty. I have a treat for you, another treat, as if we haven't had enough. There's more. There's more. It's the universe always telling us there's more. It has not been depleted, right? There's more, there's more, there's more good. And there is. A couple weeks ago, Reverend Dixie asked me if she could share something. And I was like, oh my goodness, of course you can. I'm just delighted and honored. A few weeks ago, if you were here or not, or you heard online, her sweetie over there, Ed Olshansky, donated money for scholarships towards our scholarship fund. So we now currently have 3 people taking this first time Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life foundational class with me that are utilizing some of those funds. And Ed donated that money in honor of Reverend Dixie and her work as a New Thought minister, specifically a Science Mind minister. And so I'm just so honored, just so honored. So she's going to come up here and share with us a little bit about her journey and finding her dream or living her dream. And so we're quite honored. Come on up, Dixie.
Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be with you today. I did ask Reverend Theresa if I could share some of the events that took place in my life to end in living my dream. And I'm very happy to share those events with you today. They're short, but they're profound because they took place in my own life and taught me the meaning of living a dream, that it can come true. It's been a long time since I've spoken in front of a microphone. So I brought along my cane so I won't fall down. I brought along my notes so I won't forget what I'm about to tell you. But after all, I am almost 91 years old. So, thank you. So please cut me some slack this morning. Let me begin by telling you how shy I was as a child. I know this is the beginning of many of your childhoods as well. But I was painfully shy, having come from a very dysfunctional family. I wanted to withdraw from life rather than engage in it. I was scared of living. I had low self-esteem. I thought very little of myself being worthwhile. I wanted to be invisible. Some of you may have thought that as well at some time. Not only was I like that as a child, but I was like that throughout my childhood, through my schooling, through college, even up to when my marriage took place and I had 2 children of my own. It was a painful life, an unhappy life. Oh, how I wanted to change. But I did have a dream. I had always admired people who could stand up in front of an audience and speak. So cool, so confident, so competent, so unlike me. I'd love to be like that someday, I told myself. But I knew it was a fantasy, probably. People like me did not reach their dreams, and this was an unreachable dream for me. As for my religion, I was raised Protestant, and I reached out to my religion for some kind of comfort, some kind of understanding. It didn't work. I didn't understand what they were teaching me. And even though I tried church after church, I got no comfort there. I did believe in God, but of course I thought he was distant, unreachable, and certainly no one that I could communicate with. Then in my 30s, something happened. Living in White Plains, New York, in Westchester County, I heard of a new kind of church that had opened. It was called Science of Mind. I was very intrigued, and although it was extremely risky, very, very scary for me, I decided I'd attend a meeting. I was welcomed warmly, accepted warmly. Most of the congregation was Afro-American, but they took me into their hearts immediately. And I was stunned when I heard the sermon, because I was told not only was there a God somewhere and everywhere, but particularly within me. Stunning, stunning news to me. I had to know more. I learned also that God was easily accessible, always accessible, and very much interested in my fulfilling my own dream. Cannot tell you what that meant to me. I had to know more. So I began studying the science of mind, teaching with an African-American minister in her kitchen. I loved every word. I loved everything she asked me to do. I studied devotedly to it. I was overcome day by day by day by what I was learning. A couple of years later, my husband's job moved us to Long Island, where there was no church. But I continued to study. On the phone with the minister, on my own, I read everything I could get my hands on, everything. Ernest Holmes' Spirituality, God Within, you name it, I probably have read it. I even studied the Course of Miracles for a long, long time on my own. I worked as a secretary in the back room of a nearby university on Long Island, and I had befriended a lady there who had come from California, surprisingly, and she was very familiar with the science of mind teaching. And so she helped me with my studying, and we talked about it almost every day. Then one day she came to me and asked if I would join her at a club meeting the next day. And I said, what kind of club? She said, well, it's called Toastmistress. It's the feminine version of Toastmasters Club because women were not allowed in Toastmasters in these dark ages where I was living. And I said, well, what do they teach there? She said, well, they sort of help people feel more comfortable speaking in front of an audience. And I thought to myself, is she crazy? This is the last place I want to go. I would not attend that. I don't care what she said. But she persisted. And I said, okay, I will go with you to this meeting, but you have to promise me I do not have to speak one word. And she promised, and she kept her promise. I did that for 2 meetings. And at the third, I had made some friends, was feeling a little more comfortable. And so when they said anybody new to the community, would they please stand and give us your name? And I stood up, and I gave him my name, and I told him a little bit about my family, and then I heard it, the applause. Someone had seen me. Someone had actually listened to me. Someone had heard me. I could not believe the feeling that I had. I was overcome. And when I heard that and felt that, I said, I have got to join this club and learn what they had to teach me. And I did. I dove into the studies, did everything I could, spoke often before the club members because after all, they were my friends. Once a year, they hold a speech competition in the International Toastmasters organization. And each club has their own competition within the club where you write your own 5-minute speech and you compete with other members of your club. My friend convinced me to do that, so I did compete and I won. Surprisingly, what I did not remember was that if you won at club level, you go on to the next level of competition, which was the state of New York. So, taking my little 5-minute speech, I went on to compete at the state competition, and I won. From then, I didn't realize this, but you went on to the next competition. Well, next was area, and I won. Next was region, and I won. And then I found myself in Albuquerque, New Mexico, at the International Toastmasters Speech Competition before an audience of about 1,500. And I won. You can imagine how that changed my life. I left my secretarial job, I joined a consulting firm, and pretty soon I was traveling the country teaching communication skills to corporate managers. Was I living my dream or what? I was living my dream for sure. However, little did I know that spirit was not done with me yet. After several years, we decided to retire to Sarasota, Florida, where I had never been before but loved it from the minute I saw it. We lived in a community called the Meadows, perhaps you know where that is. And to my enormous delight, I found there was a Science of Mind church here called the Center for Positive Living, CPL to those of you who have been there, and the minister David Owen Ritz. Well, I resumed my studies immediately, went on to become a practitioner, went on to become the first minister from CPL. And by the way, we did form a Toastmasters Club within CPL. And Jackie Riker, my good friend who's a member here, was the first president of that club. After a few years, as a minister and as loving every minute of it, of course, we moved to North Carolina, where I was the assistant minister to Barbara and John Waterhouse in the Asheville Science of Mind Center. Then I lost my husband, had a new relationship, and moved to Tennessee. I was very happy there. I continued my life. I continued speaking locally. I was very, very happy and had a lot of friends there. And let's put it, I was very contented to live in Tennessee and to stay there for as long as I wanted to. But then something strange happened again. If you know Sarasota, there was a assisted living facility very close by to the Meadows. Today it's called Aviva. And when I was living in Sarasota, I thought that looks like a nice place to maybe go when I got older. So I took a tour there, and I really liked it. I was very, very happy to think about maybe ending up there one day. But I'm living in Tennessee, very delighted with my life, and I heard a voice. Some of you may have heard voices, so you know what I'm talking about. They're inexplainable. But it said, go to Aviva. I said, what? Go to Aviva. Go to Aviva. I ignored this voice many, many months. Thought it was crazy. Thought it was a crazy idea that my voice was telling me about. It was relentless, constantly in my mind. Go to Aviva. Finally, I could not refuse that voice. I accepted the challenge. I sold my home. I broke my relationship. I left my family. I gave everything away that I could to simplify my life. And in 2021, I moved to Aviva. I don't know why the Spirit sent me there. Perhaps to bring me back here, to remember why I love this teaching so much. Perhaps it's because I met a young man whose love for me makes me feel younger, brings my life to life. I don't know what's next, but I know there's something coming my way soon. I learned a couple things about living your dream that I'd like to share with you in closing. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen when you think it should or when you want it to. It happens when you're ready. Trust your inner voice. It might be that Spirit is talking to you. Get support for your dream. Tell your family, friends. Keep you on track. Keep you encouraged. Never give up. And by all means, keep coming to this place to learn, to practice the teaching, because it does work. I'm witnessing to it. And above all, come here to be reminded why Spirit led you here in the first place. Thank you for listening. That's my story. Namaste.
Never have I had to follow that before. Thank you. I didn't know all of that about you. It makes me even more honored that you're here with us and that you show up every Sunday and that you say kind things to me after the service. I'm just, yeah, Ed, I'm verklempt. Thank you so much, Dixie. Thank you. So, I probably have a couple ideas about why you're here, and we can talk about that. We'll have coffee. I got some ideas. How about you, Jennifer? Board? Yeah, Emil? Yeah, we got some ideas. I didn't know what Reverend Dixie was going to talk about. I mean, I knew her dream, her journey, but I didn't know the story. And so I had a couple things I wanted to say, and I'm not even going to look at what I wrote. I'm just going to share with you that the Science of Mind textbook, I did this morning, last thing before I left the house. I just looked up in the back. There's what's called a concordance. And in the concordance, I looked up fail. Failed, failed, failure, failures. And I read every passage in the book related to it. There's a lot to say in here. Ernest had a lot to say about it. If we subscribe to society's ideas of making mistakes, did you ever make a mistake? No. Yeah. Dixie's made a couple, I think. But they didn't hold you back, did they? No. Were they food for fodder? Was it grist for the mill? It was energy, right? It was, okay, what can I learn? How can I grow? Where do I need to lean in instead of lean out? Yeah, instead of that resistance thing that Camille was talking about. Yeah. That's it. That is it. Success and failure. Living a life of our dreams and being plain small. Being fearful, like Reverend Dixie said. Being afraid and staying small in our life. What did you say? Withdrawn, scared, not knowing your worth. It was a painful life. Many of us live painful lives, or at the very least, we live small lives. We live much smaller than we're intended to live. We live smaller than we need to live. And oftentimes it's because either someone told us that that was our lot in life and we bought into it, or we just had a couple failures that we couldn't get beyond, that we didn't, we allowed them to define us. And so you might want to think about that this week. What maybe has held you back? And I don't believe at any age, Reverend Dixie just demonstrated this. It doesn't matter what age you are. How old were you when you left here to go to Asheville? Probably 80. 80? I remember when she left to go to Asheville. And I was jealous because I'd gone to college in Brevard. I love it up there. And 80. May I? I'm gonna, Sophie. How long have you been dating? 2 years? 2.5 years, because it was New Year's Day or thereabouts that she sat right over there and did a collage on her dream man and the traveling that she was going to. Yeah, she manifested you. I'm sorry, you thought you had some control here? Nah. She manifested you. I was witness to that. At 80 years old, right? You were 80. Yes. She said, I'm going to have the love of my life, and we're going to travel, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to do really great things. And she's doing it. I mean, if you see her on Facebook, you're dang jealous. I know you are. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let anything stop you. And if there is something that creeps in from time to time that says, nah, you can't have that. Nah, that's not for you. Nah, you're not good enough. You're not tall enough. Not skinny enough. You don't know enough. Come see me. Come see Rev G. Any of our practitioners. Ethelyn back there, Bobby. Come see us. We're going to tell you what your truth is. Because that's our job, is to know your truth when you can't know your truth. And let me tell you, it works. This teaching does work. Thank you, Reverend Dixie. It works. It works. I did treatment work with someone on Wednesday. Friday, I got a really long thank you from them. Already, big shifts. Big shifts in life. I'm telling you, it works. But you got to work it. And you can't let the stories stop you. What did I say last week? It's passion, purpose, passion, and persistence. Persistence. Let us persist. When we don't understand, that voice persisted, and Dixie said, no, come on, no. But she eventually said yes, and here she is, and there Ed is right next to her. You young man. Oh, man. I knew by the description it was you. It's beautiful. This thing called life's a beautiful thing. How about we do another prayer? How about we open ourselves up? And just know we have so set the scene here today to drop the worries, the fears, the yeah buts. Let them go. And we let them go as we fall into that abyss of love, as we fall into the unconditioned realm of infinite possibilities, that realm of the creative intelligence, that realm of law. That part of spirit that we are active with each and every moment, with our thoughts, our words, our deeds, our actions, our emotions. We are telling the law what we want. Do that now in the sanctuary of your own mind. His Spirit's listening, and the universe is orchestrating. Speak your truth now. What I know is the universe is orchestrating itself right here and right now. From on high, everything is in motion in order to bring forth those desires within, which were planted even before we're born. It's Spirit's way of expressing in this world uniquely, authentically, as each one of us here. The brilliance is inherent in the idea. The success is inherent in the idea, in the desire. Because there is an inner urge in our minds to grow, to expand, to break down the barriers of previous limitations, and to ever widen our experience. Say yes to that right now. Yes. 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 Because this persistent urge is divine influence, it's irresistible force, and it will not let you be. So with great gratitude and expectation, I release this word, knowing it's already so in the mind of God. And so we celebrate. And so it is, so be it. Amen.
I have a song about praying and about being persistent in our prayer. And one of my friends, one of my New Jersey tribe friends, said an expression to me, probably in the 90s, and I wrote it down, and then a couple years ago I finally wrote the song. She said, pray, do the work, and watch the miracles. Watch them come. So it's called Pray and Do the Work. And this goes out to my friend Beth Nolan, who's in Arizona now. And I'd like to teach you the chorus. It's just pray and do the work, pray and do the work, pray, work, and then watch the miracles occur. Pray and do the work, pray and do the work, pray, work, and then watch the miracles occur. Let's try it. Pray and do the work, pray and do the work, pray, work, and then watch the miracles occur. And if you come to the Passion Test workshop, we're going to talk about this. I set my intention and put my attention on my intention without any tension. Pray, then do the work, pray, then do the work, pray, work, and then watch the miracles occur. I let God's love see me, for praying can free me, and then I can be me and live into life, that ideal life. Pray and do the work, pray and do the work, pray, work, and then watch the miracles occur. And again, let me hear you. Pray and do the work, pray, then do the work, pray, work, and then watch the miracles occur. Listen to your heart and hear your inner wisdom. Look into your mind and see with inner vision. Listen to your heart and hear your inner wisdom. Look into your mind and see your inner vision. Pray and do the work, pray, then do the work, pray, work, and then watch the miracles occur. Pray, work, and then watch the miracles occur. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. And thank you, Reverend Dixie. I saw a headline, an article the other day that said 90 in 10 years will be the new 40. So I think we have a prelude to that. And you probably wonder why I get so excited about coming up and talking about the offertory every Sunday. Well, two things happened. I was living, what I discovered later, in the flow. Then I found the teaching and had a name for it. It was the flow. And in 2000, beginning of 2007, my wife and I were early adopters of what became the Great Recession of 2008. And we went from a nice on-paper net worth to a negative $1 million net worth, literally overnight. And I kept doing the work. I kept doing the work. And on July 7th, 2008, and this is important, July 7th, 2007, at 8 o'clock in the morning, we got in a car and relocated to Florida because we were going to be able to afford to live in a little house that was being built in Cape Coral. In September of that year, we attended the center, what is now the Center for Spiritual Living, Cape Coral. And the first lady I met she was a youngster. She was only about 89 at the time. Later became, as she declared, my Florida mother. And I asked, did I know anything about the teaching? Well, I said, my wife and I are both practitioners, and as a matter of fact, last year I graduated from ministerial school. She said, and she was holding my hand with one hand and holding my forearm with the other, and said, oh good, we can use you. Our ministers just left. And then she said, ooh, I'm getting goosebumps, and so are you. Well, they were in a process, and it took them until the end of May of 2008 to decide on who the new minister was going to be, and it was me. And I said, so you want me to start in 2 or 3 weeks? He says, oh no, you need to start next week because we haven't lined anybody up. So that was the first Sunday in June 2008. A couple of weeks later, I went to a conference at Asilomar, and my board president, who was my best friend until he passed a few years ago, was telling the story. And the bottom line of the story was that on July 7th, 2007, at 11 o'clock in the morning, Florida time, which would be 8 o'clock in the morning, California time, the ministers gave their notice that they were leaving.
Wow.
Is there a flow in the universe? I think so. So open your wallets, open your hearts, open your mind to the flow, and support this ministry. So just bless the givers, bless the gift, and know that all is coming together in this powerful ministry we call the Center for Spiritual Living, Cultural Coast. And so it is.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Reverend Emil.
Cool.
Let's sing together. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
We've had some good passing on of stories this morning. Thank you, Rev G. I didn't know that the dates. That's so cool. Very cool. And Reverend Dixie Conley, thank you so much for sharing with us this morning. Thank you so much. It's just beautiful, just beautiful. Each one of you have that importance within you. That's the way I started this morning. That's the way I want to end. Is there's something in you to share? Maybe it's fully developed. Share it. There's something to explore and to caress and massage and get it to where you want it, to release it, you know? And I hope you do that work here. There's so many places where you can fill in gaps that we have that we would love. And here's what I'm proposing. I spoke about this last week. Over on the table back here, we have a survey. I want to know who you are and what your gifts are. I want to know who you are and what you like and what you don't like about spiritual community. I want to know what's going on inside of you so you can be part of us fully. So there's a survey over there. There's a box. Put it in the box. Come get a cup of coffee and then stick it in the box, or take it home and bring it back. Or it was online too. If you send it in online, you can't be anonymous. So I don't, if you want to be anonymous. But there's also membership forms over there. And let me quick tell you why it's important to me that we have members. Because it's not an ego thing for me to say, ooh, we have so many members. It's not that at all. And it's not about the voluntary $50. Because it's voluntary, I don't care if you put $50 with it or not. Membership to me is about your level of engagement. That's what it is, plain and simple. You heard my story last week. It was about purpose and passion and persistence. It was about engagement. Because you're not going to change your life 1 hour, 1 day, a week. Sorry. I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe it will. Maybe. It happened for those 12 disciples. It actually didn't for them either. They had to work hard. So, membership, you get 20% off of classes. If you do like Dixie did and like I did and like Rev G did and like Diane's doing back there, and you take every day in class, you want that 20% off. And you get 10% off of the workshops. Elaine's doing this workshop this afternoon to help you discover what your passions are and how you can use them in service of the world. You get 10% off, that's $2. I'll give you half a cup of coffee at Starbucks. But the center's getting the money. Elaine's donating her time. This is a fundraiser. So anyway, it's important on your side of the table to engage and commit at that level. And then we give. And then you're part of a community that just loves and supports you. And you have the practitioners, and you get one free session with me a year, if you're a member. And that's fun for both of us. So I encourage you to do it. Huh? Priceless. It's priceless. It's priceless. That's right. So, you can sign up for Elaine's passion test. You can go grab a sandwich, or you can stay for the potluck if you brought something, or there's extra food. I'm sure we'll be fine. Yeah, we'll make it happen. Make sure you're on the newsletter, and if you have prayer and you want prayer support, we do have practitioners here. We've got Bobby and Ethelyn and Reverend Emil and myself and Cindy. And or you can fill out a form. Elaine, sorry, and Elaine. You got a lot of practitioners in the room today. And or you can fill out a form over there and just write it down and put it in the prayer box. But we hold you in love, right here, right now, right, prayer partners, prayer practitioners? Yeah. So what we know is you go off and have a beautiful week. Keep us in your hearts as we keep you in our hearts. And Elaine, why don't you send us on our way with another song?
The fourth agreement. Who knows what it is? The fourth agreement.
Don't take anything personal.
What?
Be impeccable with your word.
No, that's the first.
Don't take anything personal.
That's second.
Don't make assumptions.
Third.
Okay.
Always do your best.
Oh, always do your
Not
best.
today. Your part goes, 'cause I always do my best. Come on. 'Cause I always do my... One more for me. 'Cause I always do my best. This is like a New Thought Buddy Holly song I made. I remember I am blessed, and I know I can manifest. Life's an easy sort of test, 'cause I always do my best. I know I can choose success. I live and breathe in oneness. Spirit puts my mind to rest, 'cause I always do my best. I agree to honesty, to love and joy and light. When I remember my divinity, I'm lifted to a new height. I agree to tell the truth, to surrender to the absolute. I affirm the magic I possess, 'cause I always do my best. I remember I am blessed, and I know I can manifest. Life's an easy sort of test, 'cause I always do my best. 'Cause I always do my best. 'Cause I always do. Yeah, sing it like you mean it. 'Cause I always do my best. See you at the workshop.